What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. Normally, this is the time when I would do behind enemy lines, but the Titans just don't worry me. And so listen, it's a two-win team. The 49ers are coming off of a bye. They're at home. I I don't want to make content that I don't feel like is interesting or educational in some sort of fashion. I would rather give the platform back to you for a short call-in show, an open mic show, let you guys get off your takes, and then next week I will resume behind enemy lines. We'll have what, 3 games left after that. We'll be coming down the home stretch. I'll get somebody on from the Colts and the Bears and then the Seahawks down the stretch, and then after that it's playoff time, and I make sure to follow through then. But Cleveland didn't make sense, and to be honest, I couldn't find anybody that represented the Cleveland Browns. I really did try, but the Titans, to me, it doesn't make sense to do it, so I'm not going to do it this week. But that means the platform is yours. So link is pinned to the top of the chat. As I say, get in early. And we've got a hard stop because I've got myself, Grant, and Coach. We've got our members only show right after this in about 45 minutes. So it's not going to be a long show, but I can definitely get to some of your guys' takes, and we will certainly do that. Let me hit this intro and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And as I said, it is open mic night, which means the forum is yours. Let me set the stage with something that's on my mind just real quick. Won't take up too much time, but I've been going through the power rankings. ESPN publishes theirs, and CBS and SI, and everybody's got power rankings. And I cannot help but to notice that the 49ers are sitting around 10th in most of these things. And I feel like that's a little disrespectful. I do. I think the NFC's wide open. The AFC's wide open. The whole NFL is really wide open. But, man, the 49ers deserve a little bit more respect than where they are sitting, in my opinion. I understand it's tough. You look at it on paper and you see no Fred Warner. You see no Nick Bosa. But this is a team that has been dealing with these injuries all season long and have found a way to get it done regardless. So why is it such a factor now? Robert Saleh has done a fantastic job working around it. Kyle Shanahan is coaching his butt off. The 49ers are absolutely rolling. And we've got 2 very winnable games back-to-back coming out of the bye week with the Titans and then the Colts. And then we'll see what happens after that. But there's a real path at the number 1 seed here for the 49ers. And still, they are sitting at 10th in the power rankings. Now, ultimately, these things don't mean much, especially come playoff time. It's just other people's opinions. I want to know what it's going to take. Is if the 49ers go 3-1 down the stretch, is that enough to get some of these guys to buy in? Do they have to go 4-0? And even then, I do question, 49ers go 4-0 down the stretch. I could see a scenario where they still aren't getting love headed into the playoffs, unless maybe they're the number 1 seed, and then eventually you'll have to start showing this team love. It just it's interesting to me to see what the outside perspective is on all of these teams. And I bet you, I would be willing to bet that you take some of these non-playoff teams like the Ravens or the Chiefs, and if they were to match up with the 49ers this week, a lot of people would pick those teams to beat the 49ers. And you earn respect in this league over the course of years. You got a great quarterback. A lot of times that can push you over the edge in the public's eye. But ultimately, the 49ers are playing winning football. They're doing it in all 3 phases. And I think top to bottom, when you include head coach / offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, and then your special teams coordinator, this is the best coach team in football. And that is their advantage as they head down the stretch. That on top of, they obviously know how to win in the playoffs. A lot of these guys have been here. So I think the 49ers are going to be fine. Either way, I've got some callers stacking up. So let me get to, we're going to go Alan, PJ, and Niner Gang, and then we'll see where it falls after that. What's up, Alan? How are you, man?
Good. How are you, Jesse? How you doing?
I've been good, man. Really, really good. How you been?
Same here, man. Hey, it's blessed to be here every day with you. You know,
Yes,
being
sir.
a Niners fan, especially. I wanted to ask you, Jesse, with that, how this season's been playing out, do you think the Niners will regret not making a trade at the trade deadline?
I think regret is a little strong. I mean, as long as they keep winning, they just it's tough because even they said exactly what I said, which is the priority is keeping the future intact. How do you win in 26 and 27 and going forward? That's why they cut so much salary cap in the offseason. That is the big move. And so how do you do that without giving up a lot of capital? You know, who's out there? I think adding White and Farrell, those guys have produced at a pretty high level. So ultimately they're looking at it saying, okay, well, you know, that was a good addition. No, we didn't make the big splash trade. So no, I don't think they're going to regret it. And I think the other thing too, Alan, is like we look at it and say, okay, well, you know, this player was available, or what they could have gone and gotten this player, or what about this player? We don't know what if those guys were available. We don't know what they would have gone for. You know, could they have gotten in a bidding war with the Eagles to go get the pass rusher from Miami? Maybe, but that's a lot of draft capital to give up. So no, I actually don't think that they're going to regret it.
Well, the reason why I bring that up, 'cause this is probably the most open opportunity we're ever going to get, especially for knowing next year how tough our schedule is going to be. That's why I was asking, do you think they'll regret not doing an all-in move this year?
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. Next year's schedule is going to be much tougher. That's for sure. They got the AFC West, they got the NFC East, I believe. So yeah, next year's schedule is going to be tougher. I just think it's a fine balance, you know, because what you can't do is end up like the Saints, where you constantly are overspending and trying to trim salary cap year in and year out. It makes it really, really hard to stay competitive. And the 49ers have somehow cut all this cap. They've got like 100 million in dead cap space, tons of injuries, and they're still almost a lock to make the playoffs. Pretty damn impressive, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I stressed about that when there were the Trey Henderson rumors and stuff like that. I'm glad they didn't, but like looking back at it now, I wish they added like one more piece.
Mm,
Mainly, the D line because I didn't expect uh or was it Williams to get hurt this year like that the way he did.
yeah, yeah. It was brutal.
It's just mainly the only thing I said I feel like we regretted on is getting another pass rusher or like another interior guy for our D line to help our defense out. But like you said, we're playing good enough. But the question is how far can good enough take us? You know.
No, you're absolutely right about that, man. I think it's gonna be tough because I talked about the advantages at the top, which is the coaching staff, and the 49ers certainly have a great coaching staff. They have players that have been there before, so they have the experience. But the one thing they don't have is they don't have the most talented roster, and they're going to be outmanned player for player in a lot of these playoff matchup scenarios. So yeah, that's certainly a realistic thing. And you know, could adding one more player could that in the difference? If they'd added a big time player, certainly. I know a lot of people really wanted Trey Hendrickson, but you know now he's done for the season. He's about to have surgery, so clearly nobody was going to trade for him under those circumstances. And they wanted so damn much for him anyways. So yeah, man, I think the 49ers ultimately did what they could do, and that was go get some players that could help in the rotation, but without putting the future in jeopardy.
Yeah, I agree, man, because we still need a lot. You got a lot of people to replace, interchange, but a lot of it's going to really test on Kyle and stuff at the offseason this year coming up. But I wanted to ask you another thing, Jesse, because I know you got
Hmm.
other callers, but who you got? So, how the season's playing off? Who you got going to the Super Bowl, and who you got winning?
Man, God, right now I'm gonna stick with my NFC prediction, which was the Rams. I'm gonna switch the AFC. I had Baltimore, so they may not even make the playoffs. So I can't go with them. I'm gonna go with I'll go with the Texans, man. That defense is super nasty, and I think God, dude, I think the Rams
I,
win the Super Bowl in Santa
I
Clara,
thought
man. I'm worried about it.
I thought you were more of a Bucks stan this off season.
I no no no. I listen. I will say I was back and forth between the Rams and the Bucks this offseason. Like who was I going to pick? I ultimately went with the Rams. I do think the Bucks are 100% a live dog. They're getting McMillan and they are getting they just got Godwin. They're getting McMillan. They're getting Evans back this week. They also are going to be getting Tristan Wirfs back, I believe, this week. And then Kalijah Cansey, who's an absolute dog along that defensive line, he should be back for the playoffs. So I think they're going to give some teams some trouble. I do. I think ultimately the playoffs are going to go through LA and the Rams are going to be tough in that dome, man. There's a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. This is a season of opportunities. Let's say that. But all right,
Yeah,
Jesse, I'll
it
let you go,
really
man.
is.
Thank you very much, man. It's an honor to
Absolutely.
be
Have
on
a
your
good one,
show,
brother.
man.
All right, man.
You too.
Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, good call from Alan. And good point. Feast mode says, Jesse, you weren't showing this team love either. Listen, my opinion hasn't changed much from the standpoint of like I still genuinely don't think they're gonna win a playoff game, but when you're talking power rankings, that's a very different thing. You're talking about who's hot right now. I'll give you an example. Another team that's being faded pretty tough in the power rankings is the Texans somehow. The Texans have beaten the 49ers, the Bills, the Chiefs, uh, the Colts, and then there was another really good team that they beat like recently, and they're sitting at like 13th in some of these power rankings. I don't get that one either. So it's not just the 49ers that aren't getting love, but yeah, I get it. Third place team in the division, but dude, this division's really, really good. And arguably right now, the two best teams in the whole NFC are in this division. So being third in this division means what? You're possibly the third or fourth best team in the NFC. I don't see any juggernauts in the league right now. If I think you could make a case for 6 to 10 teams to win the Super Bowl legitimately this year. And if that's the case, like, why not the 49ers? If they went out, they get the number one seed. All of a sudden, the whole path goes through them, including the Super Bowl. I don't think it's likely, but I could see a scenario. I don't think it's super far fetched that we shouldn't at least be having the conversation either. So I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're saying. All right, let's get to we'll get to PJ here. What's up, PJ?
Hey, how are you, Justin? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Hey, can you hear me, Jesse?
Yep, I got you.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I wanted to say that I'm really proud of how this team has worked so far this year. I think one of the things that's really impressed me is that they won a lot of close, grimy games this year that
Mm.
I don't believe they would have won last year, and that really, really shows a lot of toughness on their part. And I think that Brent Boyer and Salah has definitely helped change the culture with this team. We actually care about special teams this year, which is like something that we were awful last year with special teams. That definitely helps to make the season even more exciting. And I'm really excited to see how the season finishes off because I wasn't so sure how good they were going to look this year. So if they make the playoffs, which appears they will, they would have already have exceeded my expectations, honestly.
Yeah, man. I think that's what's the most fun thing about this team, and I keep saying it over and over. I've said it. I've got to imagine for like the last 7 weeks. This is my favorite team in the Shanahan era because of exactly that. It's one thing to have the best roster and then just prove that throughout the course of a season where you're blowing teams out, but that's not how this league is played. Most teams are in dogfights week in and week out, and most teams that are better, superior teams always find a way at least once throughout the course of a season to lose to a team that they're far better than. And the 49ers are learning how to win the way that this league has had to win for years. When the 49ers are out here with this great roster blowing teams out, they are finally learning, hey, we're going to be in dogfights. We got to win by 3 points. We got to put together game-winning drives or game-winning stops on defense or get a huge return on special teams in order to take the lead in this game or start out hot. And I think that's what's the most fun is that this team, I really feel like the building blocks, regardless of how this season ends, let's say I'm right and they lose in round one. To me, they're building a foundation that is going to make this team more successful in the future because they're learning how to win the right way in the NFL.
I totally agree. I think that even if they lose in the first round, which I think they will, at least they can see what their baseline is as far as, okay, what piece do we need to add, whether the free agency, the draft for next year. That's really going to help them say, okay, what do we need to do to put us over the top? So I think it's really going to be good where they go once playoff time starts. It'll be good for our rookies and second-year players to get that playoff experience, which is awesome. And I think honestly, I don't know how much you watch the ESPN or FS1 or anything, but I listen to some of these shows, and the one team that a lot of people put in their power rankings is Seattle at number one, even over the Rams. And when I listen to that, I'm like, there's no way I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks over the Rams. The Rams, in my opinion, are better than the Seahawks. Who do you trust, Stafford or Sam Darnold? Honestly.
I don't listen. I don't trust Sam Darnold at all. In fact, so for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure there's quite a few of you in the chat. First of all, I had a hat bet with the Seattle content creator. You guys should know that if you watch the show. But on the NFC West Roundtable, which is a show we do weekly where I hold serve for the 49ers, and then we got a content creator for every single team in the division. Last week, I already called out Brandon, who covers the Seahawks, and said, hey, week 18, if there's something on the line, I want another hat bet with you because I do not think that Sam Darnold is going to hold serve. I think he's going to piss down his leg. He's going to screw it up, and Seattle will lose that game if there's any implication. So if that game means anything, both of these teams, we have a hat bet on the line, and I called my shot last week. I just do not trust Sam Darnold whatsoever in these big games. I just don't.
Me either. I don't blame you.
So,
I don't blame you.
All right, PJ.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Just before I let you go. I know you have X. I don't have it. Are you familiar with the Lockdown 49er podcast?
Yeah, of course. With Croc and God, what's his name? Peacock. God, dude, I feel bad. I like Peacock a lot.
He Croc, he put up a screenshot that came back from June. It was about BA. He was saying how BA had tweeted something that Grant commented on, and Brandon said, I need my money before I even think about a walkthrough. And then he said they want to play cool now. Not after I'm not gonna. They still want the smoke. I want the smoke too. And they said that Grant had commented on it. That happened back in June, and this Boyd thing started in July before we found out about it. Like, I didn't know what your thoughts were about it, or if you had any inside information based on what happened from June going to July.
Yeah, so I do know that that Grant had found that on BA's YouTube channel, like in his community posts. And now in hindsight, like you look back at it, you're like, okay, I could see how that makes sense. I had been hearing for weeks. So this is I'll just tell you, guys, what I have heard now that basically everything's out. I can kind of say. So I had heard that BA had been healthy since about week 5, and that he wanted to play. The 49ers didn't want to play him because they didn't want to risk injury, knowing that, that he doesn't have the guarantees, and they were going to try to trade him before the trade deadline. But obviously he had never played, so it was going to be hard to do that. Most teams aren't going to pick up that salary when they haven't even seen him play coming off of a catastrophic injury. So then he basically checked out and was like, listen, if you're not going to play me, I'm out. So that's one thing I had heard. And so, if that's the case, and now what I didn't know, of course, was that the guarantees had been burnt in the offseason. I did not know that at the time. But it makes sense. It kind of makes sense why both sides played this the way that they did. Because I was thinking to it, like, why would the 49ers not play BA if he's healthy? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But now it all kind of adds up as to why they wouldn't do it, and then why BA would be so frustrated with it. And he's like, well, listen, if I'm not going to have the guaranteed money anyways, I want to choose my own team. So just cut me at the end of the offseason. I'm not going to come after you for this guaranteed money. I'm not going to get the Players Association involved, but let me choose my next team. It's all starting to make more and more sense. So.
Okay, I got you. Well, thanks for the call, Jess. I'm gonna jump on your show at 8 o'clock, man. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Good call. Good call. Alan says, "Hey, Jess, if you don't have a Colts content creator, I can fill in if you need one. Keep up the great work." No, I appreciate you, Alan. I do. I do have a Colts content creator. I actually host the AFC South Roundtable. So I know all those guys. I've got a Colts content creator. I do have a Titans content creator too. So this, again, I'm not doing the show because I couldn't find a Titans guy, like was the case with the Browns. I just don't take the Titans game seriously. And I feel like it would have been a 45-minute waste of time. I'm like, okay, like let's learn about the Titans. Like, who cares? Nobody cares about the Titans. But I do appreciate you, man. Always. I know you're an indie, so you definitely have your ear to the streets there. All right. I'm gonna go to Gammon real quick. What's up, Gammon?
Not too much, sir. How you doing?
Oh, your mic is cutting out, scratching really hard.
I'm sorry. All right. Jump to someone else, and then I'll try and fix it. Please.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll go to Korean 49er, who usually is first anyway. So we'll jump in with Korean 49er. What's up, Korean 49er?
I'm good, Jesse. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you been?
Hey, I got to go make some money somehow, so
There you go.
can't always be first.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Listen, man, I get a little disappointed when I jump backstage and you're out back there waiting for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can understand. I understand.
Just joking,
All
yeah.
good, man. I've been pleasantly surprised this season.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, who knows what next season will be, but you can only take what's going on currently and analyze it from there. Who knows what next year will bring? But yeah, I've just been surprised that they found a way. And usually they don't ask you how much how much did you win, but they ask you how many did you win. So I'm pleasantly surprised that they've gotten to. I don't recall if they had a double-digit wins, but they're pretty close. I mean, if they get a couple more wins, I've heard they're more or less playoff bound unless something horrible happens.
Yeah, 11 wins should do it. So what's great about this bye week is and how it played out was because Dallas has that tie on their record with Green Bay. I think it was like a 40-40 game or something crazy. That tie would have given them the tiebreaker in any scenario where they and the 49ers ended up at the same amount of wins. So if they had won out, including last week, they would have gotten to 11 wins, which means the 49ers would have had to have gotten to 12 to jump the Cowboys. Now, because the Cowboys lost, 49ers really only need 11, which means they're 2 away. They're going to Tennessee Titans. Now you got the Colts, who are without basically their whole secondary. Phillip Rivers is playing football for them, which is absolutely crazy. So I feel really good about that one. And, then you get to go into the final 2 weeks playing with house money at that point. You're already in the playoffs, and now might be able to get the number 1 seed, but if not, you're still in the dance. So.
Yeah, that's the most important thing to try. Just be in the dance. You'll never know. All you got to ask for is a puncher's chance if it's you and another team you're going against. But my thing is, here's what I see for this season. What this offseason told me, it's like if we talked about it before with Brandon Ayuk. He was already a disgruntled player. You can't keep disgruntled players if they're not.
Yeah.
Understand that there's always going to be disagreements on things, and that's fine, and that's normal stuff that happens. But if someone's really has the attitude of having one foot out the door, the first thing is you don't ever try to bring them back. They're gone already.
Yeah, I agree, and that was kind of my thought with Jawan Jennings at the trade deadline. I was like, gosh, he's really showing he's pretty disgruntled, and he didn't get his contract, but man, he's kind of turned it around a little bit, So, but how much of that is because they're actually feeding him the ball? If they have a week where he doesn't get any targets, and Kendrick Bourne plays and he plays really well, like it's just, I don't know. Maybe it all lines up that way. As long as he's getting the rock, he's not going to complain. Maybe he would start to complain if he wasn't getting the rock. I don't know, but I generally do agree with that take of yours for sure.
Yeah. And one last question, I'll let you go real quick. Whenever the season ends, it is what it is. What do you see as a priority in the draft? Because I think they definitely need to get someone to learn from Trent Williams or, be the backup to Trent Williams. Because I don't, my thing is I want this offensive line to have somewhat less holes than a block of Swiss cheese. And
Yeah. Listen, man, the offensive line, I feel like we say it every single year. The 49ers are going to draft a receiver in round 1 or round 2. I already know it's going to happen. Like, we all got to prepare for that one. Receiver round 1 or round 2 is almost a lock, I feel like. And, they may not go offensive line till like round 3 or 4 again, which would be a disaster if that's the case. I don't know. I just, offensive line certainly should be the priority. But, here's also what I will say is, if you've got a clear better player at a different position, just get the best player you can. Ultimately, you get the best players, you figure it out, let the coaches figure out who plays and how to mix everybody in and get your best players on. If that player is a corner or a linebacker, it doesn't really matter. Just get the best player. But if we're talking a position need, it's 100% the offensive line, for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah. One last question. One last thing.
Yeah.
Do you recall any fodder about the Niners trying to trade for Justin Jefferson this past offseason? Do you remember hearing anything about that? People keep bringing it up. It's like I haven't heard nothing. But if somehow the Vikings are saying that if they have J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson is going to be disgruntled, that kind of eliminates a first round receiver. You already have you're trading for the maybe number 1 or number 2 receiver in the league. I'm not saying that's going to happen.
You're giving up your first round pick plus some to do that too. So, either way, you're spending that first round pick. No, I mean, I think that's just more fan like wish think.
That's what I was thinking too.
It happens all the time. Player gets pissed off, wants a trade, or there's rumors that maybe so-and-so can get traded. I mean, how many times the whole offseason, who was everybody talking about? Myles Garrett, man, he wants a new contract. Go and get him. Max Crosby, go and get him. Micah Parsons, go. This is just fans wanting the best players out there. And it's not just our fan base, every single fan base. You're going to see if Justin Jefferson becomes even remotely available, or there's a whisper that he's available, you're going to see 31 other content creators or 31 other teams content creators covering this, like, hey, what would it take to get Justin Jefferson? We could give up such and such. I think we got a real shot at it. Like, it's just a guarantee to happen.
Well, Micah Parsons was a different story. Him and his agent and Jerry didn't have the best business relationship, so he was never gonna stay in Dallas for the long term. So that's a different story, though. But all right, thank you, Jesse.
Sure. All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too.
Later. All right. Let me Gammon, I'll get to you in just a second. Let me hit the sponsor real quick. We got Sleeper. Get a 100% deposit match of up to $100 using promo code LSS. You can also get a free $20 play without even making a deposit. Link is pinned to the top of the description. Check them out. They've been a great sponsor all year long. They're the fastest fantasy football, growing fantasy football app out there. I use it for my Dynasty League. I also use it to make picks just like this one. And the picks for this week are based around the Thursday night football game. $10, chance to win $47.50. And here's how I decided to play it. I got Baker Mayfield on the free space. All he needs is 1 passing yard. We feel good about that one. I got Godwin. I'm going to fade him. I don't believe he's going to get a touchdown. We've got to remember, Mike Evans and McMillan are both back. So the likelihood that Godwin scores with all those other weapons out there, I feel good that he's probably not going to get in the end zone. You got Bucky Irving. I'm going more on the 19.5 receiving yards. And then Inzane Gonzalez, I'm going to go more on the 1.5 field goals made. I think that it's going to be a lot of field goal attempts for the Falcons. I don't see them getting in the end zone a lot this game. And so Zane Gonzalez should be able to hit those 2 field goals. Those are the picks this week. You can tail me, you can fade me, but make sure you use promo code LSS. All right, let's get back to the show real quick. I'm going to drop the link one more time. If anybody wants to get a last minute call in, link is right there. You just got to click on the link. It'll bring you backstage, and then I'll bring you on the show when I'm ready for you. We're going to go to Gammon again. Let's see if he's got this mic issue fixed. What's up, Gammon?
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Ah, it's better. It's better. Yes, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I wanted to call in. Sorry, I got to be a little negative, but I got to call in, do a little bit of house cleaning. But
Okay.
Dave Barclay, number 23. Listen, sir, you haven't been, timing out people enough. You have not been hitting your quota. So I think his mod position, we might need to put him on the practice squad. I'm not sure. Another thing, and I have a question for you. I too am a gentleman over 6 foot, over 200 pounds, and I don't know if you've seen this, but Ariana Grande, it's been rumored that she's on the 3-egg diet. Is that been what Dave has been recommending for you? You've lost so much weight. How many pennies a month do I need to spend in order to feed you? What is going on? Are you okay?
I'm good, brother. I'm really good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm in fantastic shape. 3-egg diet, man. I don't know if I'd recommend that one, but no, I'm at a spot now, Gammon, where I'm starting to maintain. So I'd gotten down just below 200 pounds, just to say that I could do it in my 40s. But I think my body type is good at around 205 pounds. So right now I wake up in the morning anywhere from 201 to 204, depending on, kind of what I ate the night before, water weight, what have you. And I feel like that's a good spot for me. I end the day around 206, 207-ish. So that's about where I want to be.
Okay. I'm just saying, I know you and Dave talk on the phone, so don't let him body sham you. Go ahead and have some milk and cookies this year. Don't worry about it. I did want to give my Super Bowl prediction for this year. For me, I think it's clear. I think the best team in the NFC is the Seahawks. The best team in the AFC is the Texans. And I'm also too, I'm going to say this, I'm taking a little bit of a riverboat gamble on these teams. Their defenses are playing at such an elite level. It's, I mean, how do you do it? How do you, the Texans just embarrassed Patrick Mahomes like I've never seen before. And the other thing too is their offenses are improving. I know everyone's going to come at me and say the Seahawks, they got Sam Darnold. But I'm saying like this, Sam Darnold, he can play as comfortably as he wants to. His back isn't against the wall because with the way that defense is playing, he can make mistakes and that defense is going to cover up for those mistakes. And then the other thing too, as far as mistakes, week 1, when we played them and we were at full strength, right? I'm talking about the 49ers. When the 49ers played them, the 49ers were at full strength and we're playing the Seahawks. Purdy was making the same errant passes where you're like, those should have been picked off. Like, while the Seahawks are not going to let that happen this final week. Like this whole talk of us winning out, if Brock Purdy is going to be throwing up those dead ducks again, that's not happening. The other thing too is this last week is going to show for the Seahawks the growth that they've made since week 1. For the 49ers, we're just trying to show how much we've battled back. We're trying to get healthier, but we'll never be truly healthy. Whereas the Seahawks are going to fully on grow. But I don't want to bury the lead here. This is the real reason why I called in. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I think now, and I want to give you the open mic and I want to give your platform back. And I'm so glad and privileged to have this chance to call right now. But don't you think it's time to admit, finally and for all, even though this doesn't go in alphabetical order, that Burrow is a better quarterback than Josh Allen? Go.
God, geez. I don't know if this is the week to make that claim right after Josh Allen outdueled him this last week. Burrow was playing really, really good in that game, though. A snow game. Burrow's an absolute baller. I think where I struggle with this one is first of all, I think Josh Allen just has more physical capabilities, but the health at the very least, like even if it's a tie, like let's say we can agree. We'll say that they're even talent for talent, which I don't agree with, but let's assume that is the case. The tiebreaker would have to be the health, and that's where Josh Allen comes in. Either way, what I can say is, and this seems to happen on a pretty regular basis when you get two good quarterbacks or two physically gifted quarterbacks that do something like those two did this last week in the snow, you watch a game between a Josh Allen and a Joe Burrow, or, you know, a Justin Herbert and a Patrick Mahomes, or, you know, whatever it is, that the great matchup that you get with these star-studded quarterbacks. And every single time I leave thinking to myself, how, as a 49er fan, can you be so happy with a guy who's not nearly as physically gifted as some of these other guys? Like when I watch a Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, the next thing I'm not saying is like, gosh, thank God for Brock Purdy. That's not what's coming out of my mouth. I'm going, God, how do we get one of those guys? How do we end up with one of those players, one of those difference makers? And I'm going to say this. We're going to talk about Joe Burrow. And listen, Josh Allen's definitely the better player, but Joe Burrow's a hell of a player himself. And Joe Burrow, I don't know if you saw his press conference, Gammon, but he had some ominous words that almost sounded like he might retire early or request a trade coming up. And last offseason, I said, in my opinion, Joe Burrow, after this upcoming season, is going to request a trade. And my biggest fear is will end up with the Los Angeles Rams. I don't think he's going to request a trade this offseason, and only because he ended up getting hurt. If he had stayed healthy all season and they didn't make the playoffs, I really think that request would have came. But watching that press conference today, I think signs are starting to show that that is certainly coming. If he doesn't retire altogether, I think next offseason's the one. They're not going to make the playoffs again next year. He's going to request that trade. Matthew Stafford's going to retire, and the Rams are going to be right there with Sean McVay lining up to go get Joe Burrow. And I swear, if they go get Joe Burrow, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind, because good luck winning this division ever again if that is the case. I hope that doesn't come to fruition. If Joe Burrow gets traded, I hope he goes somewhere like the Jets or something like that. But man, if he ends up in division, Rams, Cardinals, something like that, look, I'm a Josh Allen guy, but he's not available. And Joe Burrow is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league, and I certainly don't want to see him in division. So I don't know if you're still there or not, Gammon, but okay. All right.
I don't know how much more time I got, because I could just bury you and just take
No. Go ahead, bury me. Yeah. We got a couple minutes here. I got nobody waiting, and we got a couple minutes. So
okay, wonderful. I'm gonna do one more joke before I get to something serious. But
okay.
I'm gonna say this. You know, you were talking about how limited Purdy is, and we all know how much of a Purdy hater that you are throughout the interwebs.
For sure, yeah.
You know, but I just want to say, you know, I remember the time Lamar Jackson looked like he was available, and people were picking Purdy over Lamar Jackson. And you're looking at the year that Lamar Jackson's having this year. I got to ask you, bigger bullet that we dodged, Trey Hendrickson or Lamar Jackson? I mean, thank goodness we didn't get Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, you're right about that one. Thank goodness. Definitely Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, I think the original take was when Bosa was getting ready to be re-signed. And at that point, we didn't know like who the future was for sure. Like we assumed that it was going to be Brock Purdy, but like Trey Lance was still in the mix. And I said, hey, pair whoever they want, whether it's Trey or Purdy or both, with Bosa, and send them over to Baltimore and go get Lamar Jackson. And so I think that was the original take for sure. And this year it doesn't look so good, but well, actually, I don't know. Bosa's hurt too, so maybe it does look all right. I'm not sure.
It's kind of a toss up right there. Looking at last week's Titans game, right, against the Browns, there was 2 things to me that were evident. One was that I don't think so. Usually coming off of a bye, right, you have an extra week to kind of scope your opponent, look at what they do, look at what they don't do. It was so evident to me watching the Titans versus the Browns that looked like their coordinators took everything that the 49ers did well and then just brought it into their own game plan. Like if you watch that game and you didn't see that their offensive coordinator wasn't doing exactly what needed to be done in order to get around, because they don't have a Trent Williams on their offensive line. They don't have a George Kittle that even helped pinch that off, so they can't do a 1-versus-1. But you just looked at Garrett Wilson just running for gas. And then the other thing too that I saw, which is kind of a norm, I think, for this 49ers team, is that we can just take the soul out of a team. You know, we saw it with the one year when we beat the Eagles, where it was just a high emotional game. Playing any team like the Browns. But it just seemed like, and look, I'm not trying to get myself in trouble here, but the way that the Browns players played after we just spanked them, I'm starting to think that there's some levity, that whatever Juwan Jennings was saying about their families and their wives might have been true, because they came out awfully flat. I don't want you to actually agree to that, but that was more of a joke. But it just seemed like that team that we played within like 7 days later, clearly not the same team that we saw there. And then also too, what I'm saying is that the Titans had they had an extra week of game prep against us, just like we did against them, because they clearly watched that film to a T that we orchestrated against the Titans and how well they played that. Did you come across watching that game feeling the same way?
No, I definitely did. They certainly took a lot of what the 49ers did and just implemented it. And it's pretty clear to me too that the Browns they know that their season's done. They have a lot of talented players on defense, but ultimately they're playing for literally nothing other than a Myles Garrett sack record. And I think it was that. Also, you got two really good friends in Sanders and I'm drawing a blank, Cam Ward. Those guys are best friends. So you knew that they were going to come out and both play inspired football, trying to beat each other. And Cam Ward got the upper hand there. So it didn't really surprise me that much. I jokingly said, like, hey, it's the 49ers win doesn't look as impressive a week later after watching the Titans do it to the Browns. But I think a lot of that was just circumstantial. I don't expect the Titans to hang with the 49ers whatsoever this week.
I live in Tennessee. It's like how you live in Florida, and you got to see the Bucks, and I think you kind of called the Bucks versus 49ers game pretty well. Yeah, I don't see the same thing either, though. I don't see the 49ers beating the Titans by 10 point, like by double digits and more. And for anybody listening, here's my why. The Titans do something that's very good as far as for playoff football, but they'll never see the playoffs because they do everything else terrible, which is stop the run, establish the run. The 49ers, right? We do not do a good job of either of those two things. I'm actually surprised the Eagles don't establish the run very well. That's not the norm for them. But again, back to the 49ers, we do not establish the run well whatsoever. You're looking at all of CMC's yards that he gets, and all of his yards are like at the line of scrimmage, and they're yards after contact. Like if we could just get him 1 to 2 to 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, he would just have just an absolute 1,000-yard season. But also too, and I'm looking at the last game. In any game where we go up against a team that is able to establish a run or has any type of mediocrity in the running game, we have a lot of missed tackles, right? And so that even goes for our safeties. I love Mustafa. He lays a heavy lick. But I'm going to say this. I'm not going to give the names for all the 49ers fans that are listening right now because I think the numbers are going to do more justice. But 33 on the Titans lays a lick, like 2 or 3 licks per game that you see Mustafa do once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Like you do not want to send CMC up the middle whatsoever. I mean, it's just a nasty run defense. I personally, I have the game going something like probably like, I don't know, 19-16, something similar to that, because I think they're going to screen us to death. They're going to screen us to death because they understand their quarterback is, I want to be as racially kind as I can, and not to bring race into it, but somebody might in the comments. But Cam Ward is not, there's a big difference between Cam Ward and Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy's superpower is his ability to process. And I think Mac Jones to a certain point too. Cam Ward does not process the field as well. And you can see that they really do that with that offensive game. And I'm just worried about our corners and our linebackers really being able to set that edge really as much as possible. And
I think one thing Tennessee got last week though was they really established the run, and if they can do that again this week, then that can make things interesting. Kind of to your original point, which was starting with the run game and then finishing strong with the run game and establishing it. I think that's going to be their biggest thing. So
they really went east to west. You're right, because Tony Pollard didn't have a game like that all season, and then Spears, who's their change of pace back, who really has some speed out there. But what I saw was probably how this offensive coordinator is going to play it going on, which is just really getting us east to west with the screens. And I thought their screen game was phenomenal. And then I think after that, it's just going to be some rushing. But otherwise, though, I'm glad that we both agree that Lamar Jackson was the bigger bullet that we dodged, and that Burrow is the better quarterback. Thank you so much for your time, Jesse.
All right, brother. Have a good one. A lot of people mad about the whole race thing that he brought up. I'm pretty sure Gammon's mixed, so he can confirm in the chat. But I get what he's saying. There's a trope, right? Like, oh, this guy can't process, so it could be a racial bias type situation. But anyways, I digress. All right, we got Gonzalez, new member. Gonzalez, just so you know, right after this show, in about 5 minutes here, we've got the show with myself, Coach, and Grant. That's for members only. So if you go to the community tab on this on the YouTube channel, go to the community tab. I posted earlier for members only. There's a link, so you can go watch that if you want. Every single week, that's open to members only. So I want to throw that out there. Tommy, between you and Gammon trolling me over Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, I appreciate it. But no, sir, that's not the case. What's up, BNA? Says Salah about to get locked up for elderly abuse versus the Colts. I don't know if he's going to make it. If he's playing this week, I don't know if he makes it out of that Seattle game. But if he does, might share a cell with the former Michigan head coach. Oh, gosh, man. Yeah, he might get in trouble for that one. And Half Dead wants to know if I'm ever worried about someone dumping beer on my head at the Niner game. No, I mean, I think that, the internet's an interesting place. A lot of people talk a lot of trash, but when you're out in person, that's not really the case. I've never had a bad interaction in person with a single Niner fan, or any fans for that matter. And also, I think, listen, I know as well as anybody training MMA for the better part of 20 plus years, size is not that big of a deal. But statistically speaking, most people aren't as big as I am. And so I think that, if there was any thought in that, they see the size of me and they're like, maybe not. I don't know if that discourages people or what have you. But no, man, I think that most people they're just not that person in real life. Like, they get mad on the internet. They don't like my take. I highly doubt that would ever happen. And if it did, good luck to you. I'll just say that. But no, I'm not too worried about it. Anyways, so that's going to be that. I'm going to hop over to 3 Deep with myself, Grant, and Coach. Once again, that's members only. If you are a member, head over to the community tab on the channel. There's a post there from earlier that will get you into the backstage and you can watch the show. Appreciate everybody for calling in. Cannot wait for the game this weekend. Be live for the post game as well. And much love to everybody. Talk to you soon. Peace.